Got 9 games tomorrow, and since Tuesday's a busy morning for me, I have to do the preview the night before. This should be the last week that I do this. This board's upside down. Do you see what I did there? That's how you can tell I'm not feeling well, because I did the whole board. It's all upside down. I'm not rewriting the board right side up. It's just, this is why you don't put stickers on a board, because now every single team is in distress. They're all in distress. See, when a country's in distress, you put the flag upside down. Shannon, if you have to explain it, it's not funny. So there you go. First up, Dallas is at home against Nashville. And I have some concerns about Dallas. But Nashville fans should be concerned about their team as well. Nashville's 5-4-1 in their last 10. They've lost their last game. They're 34th, 22-5 overall. Now, Dallas is 29-24-5 overall. They're 6-3-1 in their last 10. They've lost their last 2. Again, those are on the road. They're much better at home. On the road, the Nashville Predators are 15-11-4. At home, Dallas is 18-8-2. Dallas is fine at home. That being said, we'll see if this works out. Now, Dallas is 2-2 against Nashville. Both of Nashville's wins were, I believe, in overtime. So Dallas is 2-0-2. They haven't lost in regulation to Nashville, but tomato. I have some concern as a Dallas fan on this one. Because, again, it feels to me like Dallas just that they get shut out to get 2 games in a row. It's kind of hard to get all like, yay. And I know it was Carolina, one of the hottest teams in the league, and Tampa, the hottest team in the league, but still. Points leaders for each team. Johansson, 53 points for Nashville. Sagan with 52. Points per games played. Now, if it's a different player, I put the name in there. If it's the same player, I just put the number. On Nashville, it's Arvidsson with 0.92 points per game. Radulov, 0.96. Ice time leaders, Yossi is the leader for Nashville at 25.07. Klingberg for Dallas at 24.49. Hits, so again, the cutoff's 100. Boyle and McLeod for Nashville both have 101, which is why they were brought in by the Nashville Predators, to add that physical side to their game. On the Dallas side of things, Como is 154, Polak 141, Alexiak 114, Lindell 107, and Jamie Benn has 101. On a goaltending side, nobody's confirmed yet, so I'll just guess. I'll guess Rene. He's 20, 15, and 3 with a 915 save percentage. Saros is 14, 7, and 2 with a 912 save percentage. If Bishop's good to go, he'll play, but if not, it'll be Hudobin. 10, 12, and 3 with a 921 save percentage. Bishop, 19, 12, and 2, 924 save percentage. And my concern with Bishop is always regarding injury. It is a common theme with Ben Bishop. Visited a couple of times this year. Visited last year as well. I have concerns when it comes to his ability to stay healthy for a full season, and it makes me nervous about if Dallas gets in the playoffs. And I do still qualify them as an if. I know they're 29, 24, and 5. They're well ahead, it would seem, of other teams, but they have to win games in hand, and they have to get better because Chicago behind them. Chicago's playing pretty darn well. Next up, Columbus, 33, 22, and 3 now. They're in against the Montreal Canadiens, who are 31, 21, and 7. You want to talk about 2 fan bases that are nervous about playoffs right now? These are 2 teams that would have fan bases nervous about playoffs. Now, not as much, I would think, with Columbus. Columbus, I think, is in a better position than Montreal. Montreal, very, very little likelihood of them moving up into the top 3 of their division now. They're kind of too far back. Whereas Columbus, they can stay in a top 3 position with a little better than a mediocre record. Now, Washington seems to be turning it around, so Washington may very well end up being out of reach for them. But as long as Pittsburgh can stay in that mire, the thing is, of course, Carolina. Carolina's the one they're worried about, too. So both these teams need this game. The Columbus Blue Jackets are 5-5 in their last 10. They lost their last game. Montreal's 4-4-2 in their last 10. They've lost 4 in a row. On the road, Columbus is 18-9-1 at home. Montreal's 17-10-4. So they're both where they're most comfortable. For Columbus, it's on the road. For Montreal, it's at home. Montreal has won the only meeting between these 2 teams this year. Points leaders. Panarin is the leader in points for Columbus at 67. He also leads in points per game at 1.2. Points leader for Montreal is Domi with 51. He leads in points per game as well at 0.86. He's not scoring like he did at the start of the year, but he's started picking it up again. So we'll see what happens. Ice time leaders, Jones. So Seth Jones, 25.54 for Columbus. Shea Weber, who's been huge since his return, 24 minutes and 8 seconds. Hits, on the Columbus side, Anderson has 150, Foligno 125, Boone Jenner has 112. On the Montreal side, Petrie 154, Delorier 126, Jordy Ben has 102. So if your last name is Ben, you can probably hit. Goaltenders, I expect Bobrovsky because Korpisalo played tonight. Bobrovsky's 24-17-1, 904 save percentage. Korpisalo's now 9-5-2 with an 896 save percentage after being under siege against the Tampa Bay Lightning. Goaltenders for Montreal, I expect Price, 23-16-5, 916 save percentage. Niemi's the backup at 8-5-2 with an 889 save percentage, but I am starting to wonder how long it's going to be before Niemi finds himself either traded, waiver. Something's got to happen with Montreal because they're in a position where Price can't get a night off. So with that being an issue, I don't know how long Niemi has left in Montreal. It's been a good story for as long as it's gone on, but I think that good story, that feel-good story of Niemi's run in Montreal is pretty near done. They have guys in the American League who could probably put up an 889 or better save percentage. And again, when they try to give him a night off, him being Price, and Price finds himself in the game pretty darn quick after that against Florida, it makes you wonder how much longer it's going to be until Niemi's no longer a Montreal Canadien. Next up, Toronto, 36-19-3. They're in against the 31-22-5 St. Louis Blues. The Blues look pretty darn unstoppable. Now, it's going to be a test for them against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Absolutely. Toronto's 7-2-1 in their last 10. They lost their last game, of course. St. Louis has won 10 in a row, so they're 10-0 in their last 10 games. Pretty easy to figure out. On the road, Toronto's 19-8-2 at home. St. Louis is 14-13-2. As I pointed out in the video I made about St. Louis's 10-game winning streak, 8 of those wins have been on the road, only 2 at home. So they still have something to do to fix that home record. They, of course, will be taking a close look at what's going on with Nashville. Nashville loses in regulation. St. Louis wins their game. They pull within 4 points of the Nashville Predators. And for Toronto, they can't take this one lightly because St. Louis did win the one game they played in Toronto this year. Points leaders, Marner leads the Toronto Maple Leafs with 69 points. Riley leads St. Louis with 60. Riley also leads in points per game played at 1.03. Matthews leads in points per games played at 1.2. Marner's at 1.19. Ice time leaders, Riley leads ice time for the Toronto Maple Leafs, 22 minutes and 44 seconds. Pietrangelo leads the way for St. Louis with 23 minutes and 45 seconds. And honestly, when we talk about defensemen having solid seasons, Pietrangelo kind of gets overlooked right now in and amidst everything that's going on with St. Louis. But this has been a team effort. So everybody talks about Tarasenko, rightfully so, and Binnington, again, rightfully so. But their blue line has improved. Hits leaders, Muzzin leads for Toronto with 131. Edmondson for St. Louis with 104. They're the only ones on their teams with 100 hits. So Muzzin, much like Boyle and McLeod in Nashville, brought in to bring something to the team that they didn't have up until his arrival. Goaltending, I expect Anderson in this. That makes Sparks the backup, 7-4-1, 908 save percentage. Anderson's 27-12-2 with a 923 save percentage. On the St. Louis side, sure, Binnington. Binnington's 12-1-1 with a 937 save percentage. We all talk about Carter Hart. Carter Hart's a great story. Binnington's numbers are better. Allen, 17-15-4 with a 901 save percentage. So for St. Louis, everything's going pretty well right now. For Toronto, things are going pretty well too. Now, we can look at the loss they suffered against Arizona and say that's troubling, and it sort of kind of is. But the good news is that Toronto seems to get up for the really good teams, and right now St. Louis is one of those teams. So this should not be a game that the Toronto Maple Leafs have a problem getting up for and getting ready for. That being said, we saw their play against Arizona, and how Arizona shut them down, and we'll see what happens with them tomorrow. Next up, Rangers, 25-25-8. They're in against the 31-22-6 bunch of jerks out of Carolina. I find this hilarious. I really do. I find it amazing that in the hockey world, our biggest debates right now are over something Rob Schremp said on Twitter, which he kind of doubled down on today. He had a phone interview with Sportsnet, and I didn't think he backed off on his statement at all. He apologized for having upset Tavares if he did, but he never said, "Nah, it's not what I meant." No, he didn't say that. But that's the biggest storyline, along with the surge that Carolina does after their games. It's so weird. I'm sorry, but to me, the biggest crime for me in hockey right now is that when Toronto scores a goal at home, Hall & Oates plays. That is just that's the one that just I can't get over that. I can't. Hall & Oates, I can't. It's just not a thing. So the bunch of jerks are at home, 31, 22, and 6. The Rangers are 4-5-1 in their last 10. They lost their last game. Carolina's 8-2. They've won 3 in a row. On the road, the Rangers are 10, 16, and 2. And at home, Carolina's 16, 9, and 4. So you have a better than 50% chance of seeing a surge again tomorrow night. Don't tune in if you can't handle it. Carolina's 2-1. And I might as well throw in while I'm here, I've ordered a bunch of Jerks t-shirt. I found one online. They seem to replenish the stock today. I ordered it. It's a little tricky because I have a Visa branded debit card, which is Canadian. Sometimes when you're ordering through the States, it just doesn't recognize it, and it doesn't like it, and it rejects it. It seems to have gone through. So a bunch of Jerks shirts should be on the way. And I have no problem wearing it. Points leaders for the Rangers, Zibanejad's 58. Aho was 67. Points per games played, Zibanejad's right at 1. Aho 1.14. Ice time leaders. Pionk's still the leader for the Rangers at 21.46. Slavin for Carolina at 23 minutes and 1 second. Hits leaders. Shea has 134 for the Rangers. Kreider 124. Zibanejad 101. Pionk 100. So Zibanejad does a little bit of everything for the Rangers right now. On the Carolina side, DeHaan leads the way in hits with 148. Martinook 138. Ferland 137. Falk 109. Hamilton 104. McGinn 103. Interestingly enough, Ferland, Falk, Hamilton have all been the subject of rumors, trade rumors. The problem is, if they're contending for a playoff spot, why would you sell off rentals? It doesn't make any sense. And yet, the media's still got all those guys out there. So, I don't know who moves, and I don't know for what. I think they probably traded defenseman for a forward because they've been trying to do that all year. But I think the Niederreiter addition up front's made that a lot less urgent than it was before that trade. Goaltenders, I expect Lundqvist because he's been confirmed. He's the only goaltender that right now has been confirmed. Georgiev would be the backup. He's 9-10-3 with a 904 save percentage. Lundqvist 16-15-8 with a 907 save percentage. On the Carolina side, it doesn't really matter who they start. They're both playing well. Mrazek's 13-12-3 with a 902 save percentage. McElhinney is 15-6-1 with a 920 save percentage. Both of them playing very well right now. Carolina is really kind of in good shape. Next up, Buffalo, a team in desperate need of a win. They're in Florida against a team that seems to like playing spoiler because they don't really have a shot at the playoffs. They really don't. But they're playing like they do. On the Buffalo side, they're 28-23-7. On the Florida side, they're 25-24-8. Buffalo's 4-5-1 in their last 10. They've lost 2 in a row. On the Florida side, they're 6-4. They've won 2 in a row. On the road, Buffalo's 11-14-3. They've got to clean that up. On the Florida side, they're 14-10-5 at home. And Florida has won 2 out of 3 matchups between these teams this year. So Buffalo has to even that record tomorrow. Their playoff chances are fading, not going to lie. But they can help keep them alive with a win tomorrow night and with some help from some other teams. Points leaders. Eichel is the points leader for Buffalo with 62. Leads them in points per game played at 1.13. On the Florida side, Barkov leads the team in points with 57. Also leads in points per games played at an even number of 1. Ice time leader, Ristolainen with 24 minutes and 59 seconds for Buffalo. Ekblad for Florida with 23 minutes and 22 seconds. Hits, Ristolainen's the only one at 100. He's got 170. And Brouwer has 104 for the Florida Panthers. Goaltenders, I don't know who Buffalo's going to go with. I really don't know. Buffalo, I don't know. I don't. Hutton is 15-17-3 with a 909 save percentage. Olmark 13-6-4 with a 910 save percentage. My gut says Olmark, but I have no idea. On the Florida side, Luongo's rejoined the team after leaving for bereavement. I would expect him to be in tomorrow night if it feels good to go. 12-13-1, 895 save percentage. Reimer's 12-10-5 with a 901 save percentage. Again, Florida's basically done, but they're not behaving like they're done. So they've won a couple of games recently, and even though they're not in the conversation for a playoff spot, they're at least putting up a fight. And if they start putting together an amazing streak, I'm not buying into it, because I bought into it last year, and then that amazing streak led to me making a prediction that they'd be in the playoffs this year, and that just isn't going to happen. So I'm not going to start buying into it if they play well from here. And on the Buffalo side, I need to see more from everybody. It's not on the goaltenders. It's not just on the defense. It's this malaise that seems to have taken over Buffalo over the last couple of months. And they've started looking like the team that just bombed out last year. And they look like they're doing it again this year. And I'm not sure what the solution is. I will say this. If they bomb out, if they end up missing the playoffs by more than 10 points, I would think Phil Housley would probably be gone as coach. Right or wrong, that seems to be usually the case. If a team underachieves 2 years in a row, coach is probably gone. But yeah, it's an interesting story with Buffalo, and they're running out of time. Desperately running out of time because of teams like Carolina and others that are doing relatively well in the East and adding those points, and Buffalo isn't. That being said, I'm going to go ahead and pause this video so I can change boards. All right, Tampa's at it again tomorrow. They get a chance to continue to add to their record pace that they're on. Remember that streak they had there where they had trouble winning? Remember that? I don't either. Here we go again. They're on a 6-game winning streak coming into this one, so strap yourself in. But they're up against a team in Philly that clearly feels they still have a shot, even though the math is sort of difficult for them. Tampa's 45-11-4. It's insane. In against the 28-24-7 Philadelphia Flyers. With 94 points, if Tampa lost every single game the rest of the way, I would think they'd still make the playoffs. They could get home ice with 3 wins. 100 points. Well, probably not in the Atlantic. Probably need at least 105 or 106 for home ice in the Atlantic, but we'll see. Anyways, we don't have to worry about it. They're going to win more games than 3 the rest of the way. They're 8-0-2 in their last 10. They've won 6 in a row. Philly's 8-1-1. They've won 3 in a row. On the road, Tampa's an insane 21-6-2. And at home, Philly's 15-11-4. That home record of Philly's has gotten a lot better over the last couple of months. That being said, Tampa's won both meetings between these teams this year. So the numbers don't really favor Philly. Speaking of numbers, Kucherov's now at 99 points. He's on pace for 135 points. He's scoring 1.65 points per game. It's a pace we haven't seen since Mario Lemieux. So if he ends up with 135 points, that would point to a brand new era of a lot of goals being scored potentially. This may just be 1 year where we see scoring go way up and then it drops again, but I get the feeling it may be here to stay. The league's gotten younger and faster, and maybe that's why the scoring's going up too. Points leader for Philly, of course, is Giroux. 61 points, 1.03 points per game for him. He's come back down to a more realistic level from where he was last year. Last year, he just had a career year. Ice time leader for Tampa is Hedman. Hedman, 22-26 is his ice time average. The thing is, he didn't finish tonight's game. And at the time I'm recording this, I don't know if he's playing tomorrow. That could be a huge boon for Philly, or it might just mean that a guy like Sergachev gets more ice time and puts up some points and helps to destroy Philly. I have no idea. The Philly side, Provorov is their ice time leader with 25 minutes and 12 seconds per game. There we go. Hits leaders on Tampa, Paquette, 206, Girardi, 132, Chernak, 130, and Adam Ernie, 100. On the Philly side, Gudas with 195, Haig with 183, Simmons with 105. Goaltenders, Vasilevsky started tonight. I would think Domingue tomorrow. He's 18-4 with a 907 save percentage. Vasilevsky, 26-7-4, and a .930 save percentage. So for Philly, they may get a shot at the backup who's won 10 games in a row but has stats that are below Vasi's. And they may get a shot at a Tampa blue line that is missing Victor Hedman. That may very well happen for them. Goaltenders, I expect Carter Hart here for Philly. 13-6-1 with a .924 save percentage. Talbot is the backup. 10-15-3, .893 save percentage. And once Talbot's entrenched there, they've got some goaltending decisions of their own. They've got some guys they'd have to waive or trade. Philly could be very active between now and the trade deadline. And it could be all goaltenders that are involved in the Philly trades. Next up, Anaheim in against Minnesota. This is an interesting one. You have an Anaheim team, that it has been left for dead by everybody, myself included, rightfully so. Anaheim's just been sad for months now. They're 23-27-9 overall. Minnesota's 27-26-6, and they occupy that last playoff spot in the West. Now, Chicago is absolutely steamrolling towards it, and Chicago looks like they'll probably get it. But for Anaheim, they don't have to give up either. Even though they're 2-8 in their last 10, they did win their last game. That was against Washington. And now they're playing against the Wild, who are 2-5-3 in their last 10. They've lost 4 in a row. Yeah, Minnesota's only won 2 out of their last 10 as well. So it's been a rough ride for Minnesota. On the road, Anaheim's a sad 11-18-1. Minnesota at home's 13-12-5, which is not great. Both teams have won 1 game this year, so that doesn't really tell us a whole lot when these teams meet each other. Points leader, Getzlaf, 40 points. Points per game, he leads there as well, 0.72. On the Minnesota side, Parise leads the team with 49 points. That's 0.84 points per game. So he leads in that as well. Ice time leaders for Anaheim, Lindholm, 26 minutes and 40 seconds. Suter for Minnesota, 26 minutes, 46 seconds. So Lindholm's ice time is pretty darn close to the top in the league. I believe Suter's still number 1 in the league. It's been between Suter and Doughty most of the year. Hits leaders, Manson, 138. Getzlaf, 117. Del Zotto, 103. And Rowney has 100 for the Ducks. On the Minnesota side, Foligno's the only one with 100. He has 161. Goaltending, I expect Miller here. After Miller had that big win. Boyle's 1-1 with a .955 save percentage. Haven't heard anything about Gibson being back yet. Miller's 5-2-1 with a .922 save percentage. On the Minnesota side of things, go with Dubnyk, I guess. 21-20-5, .909 save percentage. Stalock 6-6-1 now with an .889 save percentage. So he's in Niemi territory. So when you look at teams that may be looking to upgrade their goaltending in the offseason, I would not be surprised if Minnesota tries to figure out what they're going to do with their goaltending short and long term. So a backup now, and then make sure that they're cultivating a starter that can take over for Dubnyk when his time is up. Think that far ahead. It's smart to think that far ahead as a team. And for Anaheim, they'll have some decisions to make as well for when Gibson gets back and he's healthy. Do they waive Johnson when Johnson's healthy? There are so many goaltenders that are getting hurt this year, and it's causing so much turmoil. I can't remember a year that's been this crazy for that. Although there probably is one. The end of the year is the best time for me to see how many goalies actually got moved, how many goalies played compared to years previous, and see if we're seeing a crazy year for goaltenders or not. Next up, Pittsburgh and New Jersey. This is one of those trap games for Pittsburgh, or would be if they play really well against New Jersey, which they don't. And you can trace back a lot of Pittsburgh's problems to problems with New Jersey and Florida, 2 teams you would not think they have a problem with. They're 31-27 or 31-21-7 right now, are Pittsburgh, whereas New Jersey is 23-28-8. So this season's been over for a while for New Jersey. 5-4-1 is the record for Pittsburgh over their last 10. They won their last game. 4-5-1 is the record in New Jersey, but they've won their last 2. Both of those won by Corey Schneider. On the road, Pittsburgh's 14-10-5. At home, New Jersey's 15-9-5. And New Jersey's won all 3 matchups between these teams this year. Yeah, it's been crazy. That's insanity right there. Points leader for Pittsburgh is Crosby with 72. He's got 1.29 points per game. Pretty solid. In a league where everybody's younger, all the big scorers are younger, and Crosby says no. Palmieri in New Jersey leads them with points with 47. Points per games played. Taylor Hall leads there with 1.12. He's been out forever, though. Ice time leaders, Letang leads for Pittsburgh, 26 minutes, 19 seconds. A lot of Pens fans will say he should be in the Norris category, top 4 or 5, or maybe number 1. I don't know where he's going to end up, but I know he's had a very good season. And Vatanen for New Jersey leads them in ice time with 21 minutes and 44 seconds on average. Hits leaders, Jack Johnson, 174. Dumoulin, 117. Zach Aston-Reese, 110. Letang, 110 for Pittsburgh. On the New Jersey side, only one guy has 100 hits. That's Coleman with 153. Pretty tough kid, that Coleman, who also is pretty good at putting the puck in the net. Goals leader for New Jersey, been pretty solid all around. Be interesting to see when his next contract comes up how much that's worth to them. Goaltenders, I expect Murray. I do, even though Murray's got bombed the last time he was out there. DeSmith, 14, 10, and 5 with a 915 save percentage. Murray should go here. He's 17, 10, and 1 with a 913 save percentage. On the New Jersey side, go with Schneider. He's won 2 in a row. Anyways, Kincaid's 15, 17, and 6 with an 892 save percentage. Schneider's 2, 7, and 2 now with an 883 save percentage. Those numbers are a lot better than what they were even a week ago. So Schneider can absolutely salvage his numbers. He's not going to salvage the season, but he can salvage his numbers. And for Pittsburgh, they have got to win a game against New Jersey. I understand they're in New Jersey. New Jersey 15, 9, and 5 at home. Much better than they are on the road. Although they went into Pittsburgh and won in Pittsburgh this year. So, this is tough. This is a tough one for Pittsburgh. I can't qualify it as a trap game again because the team should bloody know. This is a team we have trouble with. Let's go out there and beat them this time. Who doesn't want to beat these guys? Okay, you, and you. You guys put your hands up. You guys can go home. All right, last up. Arizona, 26, 28, and 5 coming off of that loss today against Calgary. It is officially panic time. Chicago is right up there. Vancouver's still ahead of them. St. Louis has gone on this huge run, which has made the West that much more difficult. Dallas and Minnesota are still ahead of them. They have got to string together some wins. They're in against an Oilers team that is reeling, an Oilers team that has no confidence, and an Oilers team that looks pretty darn miserable to be out on the ice most times. The Oilers are 24, 29, and 5. That record is just awful considering the way they started the season. Last 10, Arizona's 3, 6, and 1. They lost their last game, which was today against Calgary. Edmonton, 1, 7, and 2 in their last 10. They've lost 4 in a row. Yeah, they've won 1 out of their last 10. That's not good enough. On the road, Arizona's 15, 14, and 2. At home, the Oilers are 12, 15, and 1. That's a big part of their problem is they're not great at home. And yet, here I am wearing their gear, right? So, eternal optimist, I guess. Tied. The series is tied 1-1. Both teams have won a game this year. Keller leads the Arizona Coyotes in points with 38. Points per games played, though. Galchenyuk leads there with 0.65. I think Keller's at 0.64, so it's close. McDavid, of course, leads with 83 points for the Oilers. He's got 1.46 points per game. And I'm starting to think Kucherov being 16 points ahead of McDavid, he's probably going to hold off McDavid this year, but we'll see. We'll see when McDavid's afterburners kick in, which is usually the last 10, 15 games of the year, if Kucherov has enough of a lead to hold him off. Ice time leaders, Ekman Larson leads Arizona with 23.38 on average. Clefbaum leads the Edmonton Oilers at 25.05. Hits leaders, Krause for Arizona with 193. Lyubushkin, 126. Ekman Larson, 116. Josh Archibald has 110. On the Oilers side of things, Lucic, 202 hits. Larson, 179. Cassian, 140. Nurse, 117. Petrovic, 116. Not that he's playing. They're trying to trade him. And Kara, 108. He's on injured reserve right now. They've called a player up that they may or may not use in the lineup. May end up being a healthy scratch. But they've called a guy up. And the name escapes me right now, but it even says on Roto World in the call-up he may not play. So I have no idea. Goaltending side of things, Kemper will play tomorrow because Pickard played today. Pickard's now 4, 5, and 2. Still at an 875 save percentage. Kemper's 14, 14, and 5 with a 913 save percentage. I expect Koskinen here because they're paying him $4.5 million next year. He's 14, 14, and 2 with a 905 save percentage. Stollers should be the backup then at 4, 3, and 3 and a 902 save percentage. Yeah, for the Oilers, it's kind of, I would say it's desperation time for the Oilers too, but it's been desperation time for weeks, and it hasn't made a difference. If anything, they just keep getting worse and nosing down. So we'll see what the Oilers do over the next few days. I anticipate trades to start picking up over the next couple of days. Again, teams that are smart, you don't necessarily just wait till the deadline. You try to pick up guys early as you can so that you can acclimate them to your roster and to your situation. Anyways, there you go. We're all set. 9 games on the schedule. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.